Welcome to another edition of The Metal Voice, Special Edition, Limited Edition, Alan.
We asked for it, you gave it to us. The up-and-comers.
The diamonds in the rough.
Bands that'll be coming at you live, right between the eyes. The bands that are out there struggling, that are going around, they're probably opening bands or they're down saving every last cent is going on that EP. They're out there with their first album trying to promote it. Back of sweaty station wagons, driving thousands of miles to get to the next gig, to maybe play in front of 2 to 3 people, or maybe 2 to 3,000 people.
Who knows?
Who knows? Jim,
well,
you guys sent us a whole bunch. There's so much we had to go through. We enjoyed each and every one of it. Thanks for doing it. But again, we can't name all of them. Not everybody could be number one, but what we're doing is an honorary mention show. There's no winners. There's no losers. This is just a show that we're going to help promote all those bands that started in and some of the ones that struck out particularly strong for Jim and I.
Keep this in mind. There are so many different types of metal out there. There's thrash, there's progressive rock, there's classic metal, there's death metal, there's black metal.
Hair metal.
So it's hard to, pin, say this guy is better than that guy if they're different,
That's
genres.
right. Impossible. Can't do it.
So what we're going to do is this is an honorary mention show. These are all number 2s in our book, and the next show
winners.
All winners, except for next show.
Everybody gets a red star.
Except for the next show, we're going to pick one band each that we thought they stood out just a little more than everybody else. But here we go. These are all number 2s in our book. Fantastic bands. Let's start with Unity. Unity out of Iowa.
The metal hotbed, Iowa.
US of A. First thing I thought of when I put this band and I go, wow, this is a great sound. These guys are raw, yet at the same time they're produced. Very melodic guitars, a lot of time changes, soft, very dynamic. I love the vocals. He was a little raw in some places, but that gave the character of the band.
That's right.
And it reminded me of a little bit of Iron Maiden, a little Priest, a little of the classic metal bands all in there. The band's name Unity. Their CD's called Reborn. You can get it online. I'll put the website of where you can get everything right down here. And Alan, you heard them?
Yeah, I heard them. Again, I thought a little bit of Fate's Warning, like when they came out, there's something familiar about them, but something unique about them as well. And just where you think you know where they're going with the song, there's a time change that leads you in another direction. So I think they were reminiscent of Fate's Warning for me in that respect. But again, they've got that classic sound, but with their own version, their own twist to it. So enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
Grim Reaper meets Iron Maiden.
Oh my God.
Meets Fate's Warning. Somewhere there. And even the vocal harmonies. I mean, this is a very ambitious singer, and I see great things for them in the future. Next.
I came up with White Wizzard out of California. First album was Over the Top. They just released a second album in 2011 called Flying Tigers.
Yes.
They've had some issues with some of their vocalists, but if you listen to White Wizzard, they've got a more traditional sounding metal coming out of the mid 80s. Also part of a swing that's happening in California, like in other bands. I see End Ever After. There's some similar sounding songs there. End Ever After, of course, came out with the Kiss or Kill album back, I think it was 2008. And so these are bands that are keeping the metal spirit alive in the West Coast in California. Check them out. I think you'll enjoy them.
Next. Joe Thrasher. So
Joe Thrasher.
Sitting at my work desk, a friend of mine just slaps it down and goes, hey, these guys are out of Ottawa, Canada. Joe Thrasher reminds me of early Metallica.
I thought Accept. I thought they sounded very...
Maybe
some
Accept.
influence from Accept.
Some Accept. Just from start to finish, thrashing, punk, metal, very well produced. Actually, it's their second album. And this is it's like almost a 10 out of 10 if you love thrash music. Check out Joe Thrasher from Canada.
They're a trio out of Ottawa, which brought me back to Exciter, another trio.
That's right.
Classic band from the early '80s out of Ottawa.
Very timeless. You just don't know when you're listening to the album. You go, what year was this made in? You don't know. Was it in the '80s, '90s, Millennium? Great album. Check out Joe Thrasher.
Now I'm going to cheat here, Jim. I got two bands.
No cheating here,
bands
Alan.
that are similar. I got The Treatment, a 5-piece band coming out of Cambridge, UK. Sounds a little bit like pre-Pyromania, Def Leppard, UFO, classic sounding hard rock, I would say, like that. Some Black Crows in there with the vocalist, and his kind of a rootsy, bluesy kind of thing happening on some of the songs. Exciting band. I think you enjoy that. Is to be The Treatment.
The Treatment. Next band on my list is Dragonsclaw.
Dragonsclaw.
The Claw. Dragonsclaw comes. They're out of Australia.
Australia.
And high tenor vocals, like that high falsetto from start to finish. You know, really, I would say power metal. That's what it is. Somewhere like Camelot or Dragonforce. It's Dragonforce, isn't it?
Dragonforce, super fast.
Super fast. You know, and Blaze Bailey's a guest appearance as a vocalist on this CD, which
That would be guest vocalist.
interesting. That guest vocalist. I think from start to finish, a very solid power metal. Check out Dragonsclaw.
Another band coming out of Sweden. More in the hard rock, AC/DC aspect. It's called Fill Your Head with Rock.
Fill your head with rock.
I believe. It's
Fill
called
your head with rock.
Bonafide, a four-piece Swedish group that leads you into that classic AC/DC sounding hard rock. That's been picked up by Airborne quite recently.
Yeah.
And there's another great band, Bonafide.
Well, that wraps up our show on our number 2 or our honorary mentions of which bands we think are going to be the next big thing.
Check out our next show where we're going to both come up with our number 1 picks out of the inundation, the thousands and thousands of submittals. Millions of submittals that we got, and what we've chosen and what we want to recommend to you. So keep your eyes out for the coming years. These 2 up and coming bands on our next show. Check it out.
Part 2, next show.